Hello and welcome to today's lecture on human resource planning. So for today our learning objective is to understand the factors which are influencing the estimation of human resource planning. Human resource planning is influenced by several considerations. The more important of them are type and strategy of organization, organizational growth cycle and planning, environmental uncertainties, time horizons, type and quality of forecasting information, and labor market. Now let's look at them one by one in detail. Type and strategy of organization. The type of organization is an important consideration because it determines the production process involved, number and type of staff needed, and the supervisory and managerial personnel required. Manufacturing manufacturing organizations are more complex in this respect than those that render services. The strategic plan of the organization defines the organization's HR needs. For example, a strategy of organic growth means that additional employees must be hired. Acquisition or mergers, on the other hand, probably mean that the organization will need to plan for layoffs since mergers tend to create duplicate or overlapping positions that can be handled more efficiently with fewer employees. Primarily, the organization decides either to be proactive or reactive in human resource planning. It can either decide to carefully anticipate the needs and systematically plan them to fill them far in advance, or it can simply react to needs as they arise. Of course, careful planning to fill HR needs better helps ensure that the organization obtains the right number of HR people with proper skills and competencies when they are needed. Similarly, the organization must determine the breadth of the plan. Essentially, the organization can choose a narrow focus by planning in only one or two HR areas, such as recruitment or selection, or it can choose a broad focus by planning in all areas including training, remuneration, and so on. The organization must also decide upon the formality of the plan. It can decide to have an informal plan that lies mostly in the minds of the managers and personnel staff. Alternatively, the organization can have a formalized plan, which is clearly spelled out in written, backed by documentation and data. Finally, the organization must take a decision on flexibility, the ability of the HR plan to anticipate and deal with contingencies. No organization likes a high level of uncertainty. Organizations seek to reduce uncertainty by planning, which includes forecasting and predicting possible future conditions and events. Human resource planning can contain many contingencies, which reflect different scenarios, thereby assuring that the plan is flexible and adaptable. Organizational growth cycles and planning. That's the second factor. Now let's see what does it mean. The stage of an organization's growth can have considerable influence on human resource planning. Small organizations in the embryonic stage may not have personal planning. Need for planning is felt when the organization enters the growth stage. HR forecasting becomes essential. Internal development of people also begins to receive attention in order to keep up with the growth. A mature organization experiences less flexibility and variability. Growth slows down, the workforce becomes old as few younger people are hired, planning becomes more finalized and less flexible and innovative. Issues like retirement and possible retrenchment dominate planning. Finally, in the decline stage, human resource planning takes a different focus. Planning is done on layoffs, retrenchment, and retirement. Since decisions are often made after serious financial and sales shocks are experienced by the organization, planning is often reactive in nature. The next factor is environmental uncertainties. HR managers rarely have the privilege of operating in a stable and predictable environment. Political, social, and economic changes affect all organizations. Personnel planners deal with environmental uncertainties by carefully formulating recruitment, selection, and training and development policies and programs. Balancing mechanisms are built into the HRM program through succession planning, promotion channels, layoffs, flexi time, job sharing, retirement, VRS, and other personal related arrangements. The next factor that we are going to talk about is time horizons. Yet another major factor affecting personal planning is the time horizon. A plan cannot be far too long on a time horizon as the operating environment itself may undergo changes. On one hand, there are short term plans spanning 6 months to 1 year. On the other hand, there are long term plans which spread over 3 to 20 years. The exact time span, however, depends on the degree of uncertainty prevailing in an organization's environment. Plans for companies operating in an unstable environment, computers for example, must be for a short period. Plans for other where environment is fairly stable, for example, a university plan can be long term. In general, the greater the uncertainty, the shorter the plan's time horizon, and vice versa. Type and quality of forecasting information. The information used to forecast personal needs originates from a multitude of sources. A major issue in personal planning is the type of information which should be used in making forecast. Closely related to the type of information is the quality of data used. The quality and accuracy of information depend upon the clarity with which the organization decision makers make define their strategy, organizational structure, budgets, production schedules, and so forth. In addition, the HR department must maintain well developed job analysis, information, and HR information systems that provide accurate and timely data. Generally speaking, organizations operate in stable environment in a better position to obtain comprehensive, timely, and accurate information because of longer planning horizons, clearer definitions of strategy and objectives, and fewer disruptions. The last factor that we are going to study today is labor markets. Labor markets compromises people with skills and abilities that can be tapped as and when the need arises. Thanks to the mushrooming of education, professional and technical institutions adequately trained human resource in all an adequately trained human resource is always available on the market. Nevertheless, shortages do occur. For example, the Confederation of Indian Industry (CII) estimates that by 2015, India will be requiring 30 million additional skilled workers in sectors such as healthcare, banking, financial services, retail, auto and construction. It is doubtful whether so many skilled workers would be available in the country. When one talks about labor supply, the following deserves due consideration: the size, age, sex, and educational composition of the population, the demand for goods and services in the country, the nature of production technology, employability of the people. So, these were all the factors that affect human resource planning. Of course, there are more than these, but this is what I thought were the major ones. Uh, I thank you, students, for joining with me today for today's lecture, and I hope you learned something of value, and I hope to see you again soon. Thank you. Happy learning.